This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Even now it's cold.
All right.
Yeah. But now when you're having a conversation, you just go like, Samanjeve. You just
right.
know what
Okay.
I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Like, isn't it cold? It's cold,
Yeah.
right? Okay. I got it.
You're a student of languages.
Yeah.
So that's an additional vocabulary.
Learning.
Ukisikia mtu anasema njeve, si kitu kibaya.
Sindo? Okay. Well, how are you this morning?
Good.
Njeve.
The green looks good on you. And yes, it's njeve in the studio.
It's actually cold this morning. Well, in here, it was like it was winter.
Yeah.
Come on, this rain that they said is raining. Why is it not raining? They said it's supposed to rain.
There's usually a degree of error. So
Here and there.
Yeah, so let's assume it's that degree that is taking charge.
Sour.
I don't know if some other places are raining in the country. I don't know. It could be.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Asandi lakini.
Yeah, because Nairobi, I saw it is 25 degrees possibility of 25%
Possibility of rain.
So think of the remaining 75. Maybe 75% is taking charge, no?
Okay. Well, if you're feeling cold and you're in blue, Christine is in fiery engine red. So she's here to warm the world. So you and Lydia today got the memo.
She looks like a Lamborghini coolant. Lamborghini coolant is red, just so you know.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I just
Please
have
insert
never
Lamborghini.
Heard
I just didn't say any coolant. Lamborghini coolant.
I have just never heard anybody refer to anybody like that.
Yeah, it's the dress code that is Lamborghini coolant.
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm... What? Sour.
It's nothing but love.
Lydia, Dennis is fine, in case you are wondering. Can't see. Lydia is also fine. We're getting into it this morning. And so, as you know, Dennis Okari is bereaved, so he's sorting that out this week. Of course, all the best for him. It's Wednesday. It's the 22nd of October. Like I'm telling you, October is not following this syllabus of yours of going slowly. October says, come on, let's get on with it and let's finish. 9 days left in the month.
Yep.
But even as we do, many, many things happening, and we're going to get into those things today. And what a wonderful world. You know, there's so many things that seem to go wrong, but, you know, I've never heard anybody... I've not, unless when we have really, really terrible situations, but nobody says, yeah, things are so bad and I want to leave the earth. People still want to hang around. True. There's something good that we can derive from every day. And so I think that we can look through the day with sprinkles of positivity. True. And so we can go with that today.
I mean, Uhuru Kenyatta painted it beautifully when he was giving his speech at Raila Odinga's funeral.
Yeah.
And he said, Baba umetutangulia, and also... sisi pia tutakujoin lakini sitaki kukuja saa hii. Si saa hii.
Exactly. Nobody really wants to make their exit. If they had a choice, people want to stay. So, you know, we can make the best of it no matter what. Sindo?
Kabisa.
All right. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to have those conversations today. And we're going to start off talking with you at 7 o'clock. There are many issues that come into play. And people are asking, what next? What next? What next? What next? Of course, looking at it from a political point of view, are things going to come to a standstill? Are things going to move forward? We're going to hear from folks today and get it off your chest, guys, and talk to us at 7 o'clock today. And we'll let you know how we're going to go about that. But we're going to do it with you today at 7 and really just, you know, get people to vent. There's something cathartic about people having an opportunity to speak what is on their minds because it diffuses things in our society. And so we're going to take a stab at that today, no doubt. We'll do it with you at 7 and we'll give you more details about that as we go along. So that's how we'll start the conversation this morning. And then we'll go to 8 o'clock, where the Member of Parliament for Rarieda constituency is Otiende Amolo. He's going to join us at 8 o'clock. We're going to be remembering Oraila's legacy, and we're going to be seeing how they intend on cementing it. There are many things that will come as a result of that, not just the man, but then also in terms of policy, what happens thereafter. So we'll have a conversation with Otiende at 8 o'clock. And then the former governor for Bomet County is Isaac Ruto. He has been one of those who champion devolution. But devolution, modeled after the 2010 Constitution, is it actually doing what it's supposed to do, or are we courting corruption at the counties?
What do you think?
What do I think? I think that to an extent, devolution is doing what it's supposed to do. I can't tell you the number of people who've been able to tell me, you know what? I've been in Nairobi, just trying to make things happen. But then when I was told that I could go back to Kwale County, for example, and that I could see that roads are being developed, that their offices being established, I went back to and I got a job.
Yeah.
I can go back to my county. I can go to another place outside of Nairobi. We don't have to crisscross the country to go to school, for example, and they can remain near home. We can actually do that. And so you've seen development at least start to sprout in different parts. Unfortunately, one of the things also that we do see is that it's an avenue for folks to not just court or flirt with corruption, but get in bed with the thing.
True.
Proper.
Yeah.
And it's been devolved. It has. We can't run away from that.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what devolution has done and taken power closer to the people, and that was the whole idea of decentralizing power. So you remember other places like Turkana who would not know of a place called Kenya, yet they're in Kenya. But today, they are part and parcel of the entire conversation. And that alone, just that statement alone, shows that devolution is there and people are closer to their leaders, closer to power, and they see changes at the grassroots.
For sure. And if anything, it should. There are many systems in the world that are modeled after a federal system, whereby you have one central authority and then you have little, essentially mini countries, to be able to see them develop, because development begets development. You develop in one part, you move it around. That's what happens. We'll have a conversation with former governor at 9 o'clock. And we also know that was one of the things that Raila Odinga really insisted on and said, you know what, guys, that's the way we would develop the country. So we'll have those conversations and we'll go in that direction. So come in on and join us, guys. And I know Mtuflani is already asking, this can be a poll. We'll have a poll up at 7. We'll let you know what that is in just a minute so that you guys can also get into this conversation with us. Our live streams are up indeed on Facebook, YouTube, and on X this morning. Dennis Aseto and Nduako with you this morning into Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. I know a lot of folks are still reeling from some of the things that Martha Karawa said yesterday. Well, you still have an opportunity to watch that through the day, which is one of the things that we do. The conversations that we have here, though they're live, we give you an opportunity to then catch up with them later. And you can do that, Christine, and the team work to make sure that you can have access to this information through the day. So, get on to the channel and be able to watch those later. But thank you for joining us live as well as our audience on KTN. Karibu sana, everybody. Okay, you took us to Cape Verde.
Cape Verde. Locals call it Cabo Verde. Say Cape Verde is an English way of it, but no, it is Cabo Verde. Right. So it is about 4,033 square kilometers, approximately 560,000 people is the population of the country, and the official language is Portuguese, and their currency again is CVE, as we discussed yesterday. Now it is Cape Verdean Escudo.
Escudo.
Cigari. Escudo. There's a vehicle called Escudo.
Today you are in fine form.
I'll not talk about its coolant, but
okay, thanks.
Yeah. But Escudo has a good behind, just so you know, like from the rear, looks perfect.
Are we still talking about a vehicle?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like vehicles nowadays have contours, straight lines and whatnot. So from the back, gotta love it. So let's go to the proverb.
Yeah, let's do that.
What is united will not be lost.
What is what?
United will not be lost.
What's truly united? You can say it's united, you can talk about it all the time, but it will be very clear that if it is, you will still have something to hold on to, regardless. But I guess you would be able to tell the truth, you will be able to tell the measure of its unity by the fact that it's there for you to then experience. If it's truly united, you will see the results of it. I'm just thinking about it in terms of body parts, the brain telling the rest of the body what to do, everybody working in unison. And that's why you have, receiving messages, telling the kidneys what to do, the liver what to do, the digestive system what to do, the nervous system what to do. Everybody's working in tandem, and you have this body of a human being that's moving and is healthy. when that fails, when everybody's not working in unison, you're sick.
True.
Your health is not there.
Let me go back to my Lamborghini or my Escudo.
Okay.
You have an engine, right? So what exactly do you have an engine? You have power. So you'll talk about electricity. But then again, with that, you need oxygen for the engine to work well, right? So that means you need a working radiator. But inside the radiator, you need radiator fluid. You know, you talk about fluid water, you talk about oil, so that for lubrication, for things, moving parts to work well. You miss a single element and the engine seizes. So everything has to work in unison for that vehicle to say is working well and is alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's it. And see, even for us as peoples, as family units, as then the family unit making up. So you come from the unified
Yes.
man, a unit of a family, and then of a community, and then of society, and then of a nation. Without unity, you're not going to be working together as that
True.
body. I guess there's a lot to learn from that, and we'll look into that as we go ahead. All right, so there are people who are tuned in this morning, and thank you always for doing that, guys. You know, riding along with us on this ship as we have these conversations. Definitely always great to have you in the room as we do. So let's say a quick good morning to you as we get into it today. And we know that quite a number of people already tuned in. Yes. And a very, very good morning to you, Peter Kigame. You're tuning from Mombasa this morning, and you say that the strongest people make time to help others, even if they are struggling with their own problems. And this is true. Robert and Bogo tuned in from Mombasa this morning as well. Good morning. Eunice Okello. Good morning, Spice Team. Good morning to you. R says, we miss Baba. Indeed. Joey. Josh Willie tuned in this morning. Good morning. Sir George Gashoiri. Good morning from cold and dark Manchester in the UK. Looking forward to a great show on Spice to warm me up. Well, we're bringing it to you, brother, so stay tuned. Kisa Daniel says, good morning. Where the country is still mourning the death of Baba of democracy, a certain idiot from a certain county is celebrating his death. Yeah. I've quoted your words, but I think that was quite unfortunate.
Super unfortunate.
To hear yesterday. I believe the English call it tact.
Yeah.
Tact. And everybody needs a good dollop of that to then be able to go through the day.
Then you see there's a tribute that the very same gentleman has written at the Standard, page 13. I sought Raila's intervention, including during Gachagwa's impeachment. Same guy.
The duplicity of the human mind sometimes drives me. I don't understand. Peter says, good morning. Did you follow up the Mark Bichachi story? Interestingly enough, I did. And I gave him a call yesterday. He's of course in a tight spot, but, you know, we'll keep following up with him. Sarah Kilonzo says, good morning. Spice, Wakenya Wote. Kwa jumla, we keep on fighting where Raila left. This government is trying to intimidate us through the laws that they signed the other day. We'll have a look at those today for sure. Musao Gloria says, good morning. Mkiwa Nairobi, karibu sana. Collins Munyaka is tuned in this morning from Nyeri. Tibbs Muge says, good morning, Spice Team. We should change the name of CBK to CBUK. Really? Rose Gray says, good morning, Team Spice. Tuned in. Christopher Ogore is tuned in this morning from Maseno. Kama Kawaida. Eric Owar says, good morning. What the governor of Nyeri said was not only callous, but stupid and insensitive. Eric, I see you. Christina A, good morning. Mtuflani, thanks. I saw your comment. Okay, Munongaleshana. It's okay. Isaac Ali says, it was hate speech. It's just patriotism with a spicy tribal twist served live with applause and a side of constitutional amnesia. Hoping NCIC is warming up its microphones. Yeah, that's a good hope to have for sure. Pan-African Kenyan is tuning in this morning from Nairobi. David Mangera says, good morning. And Desmond Otis says, mvua imenyesha huku. Huku ni wapi? Tell us. Millie Simi is tuned in from Nashu. I want to say Nachu,
Yeah,
but I'm almost
right.
sure it's
Just say
Nashu.
yeah.
I want to say Nachu, but I'm sure I'll just be crucified. In Kikuyu constituency, so it's definitely not Nachu. Someone once said, chai ya matanga ni tamu, lakini ikipikwa kwenu. Wow. It's hard.
Yeah.
That's not something you want to say. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
How thin you slice it. And I know that things always have two sides, but this was insensitive, and we can call it out today.
Yeah.
And say it was extremely insensitive. Not just for the nation, but can you imagine the people who loved him and were loved by him? his family, his wife, his children. You say something like that, my goodness.
And you see, the saddest part is you're saying that in another funeral, in a church, clergy is there, Kenyans are there, and the saddest part is no one even thought of just saying no.
No, I mean, come on. You could stand up and say, actually, no, this is wrong. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
who it was. And, we need to buy batteries for our brain-to-mouth filter, I think. Yeah. If they've run out, buy new ones.
But just shut up. You don't have to always speak.
Exactly. And I mean, I know we're journalists and we taught in the trade of neutrality, but we also taught to call out something when it's wrong. And we call it out and say, come on, absolutely not.
Could have done better.
Could have done better, for sure. Fally Poopa had a tribute to Baba Musk. That was amazing to actually listen to. It's one of the best, for sure.
So he was good, though.
Very, very good. Very, very good. Pan-African, we see you. Good morning. And yes, exactly. What does 3 blue ticks on WhatsApp mean? I don't know. David, we see. I said it. At least I know now that this Aseto man over here was not trying to get me in trouble. Mashari and Jerry is tuning from Portland, Oregon, and says good morning. Jimmy Manode is tuning in as well. Christina, we see after the recent TikTok challenge, I second that bill on the Cybercrime Amendment Act. It should be put to law. Lest we forget, Kimani Mbogwa went back to rehab after he was bullied. Well, bullying is a thing. People have crawled back into holes and of hermitage and really just been secluded by some of the absolute war that is declared on them on socials.
Do you remember a face of, have you been bullied before?
Have I been bullied when I was younger? Yeah.
Do you remember that face?
I do. I remember her.
Those are stumps that remain with you
for life. Yeah.
I remember one day I met with someone who bullied me in high school. And weird enough, he's now a military man.
Yeah.
And we met when I was covering an event. And he just came to me and said, sorry.
Wow. They know what they're
later,
doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Wow. Good morning from Nairobi, says Haron Wamukoya. Good morning to you, Victor and Deto, tuned in from Kitui. Otieno 61 is tuned in this morning as well from Kilifi. Whatever it takes, let's make Kenya great. Greetings, says Stanley Ngashe. Quick recovery to Mark Bichache. Of course, Ivan Amondi Odera says, good morning, Spices. It's always great to watch the reruns of the Situation Room. Unfortunately, we can't comment. I know that's one of the things you can't do after the fact. But thank you for always clicking in. Kiarie George is tuned in from Washington State. Vincent Sungu tuned in bed in Doha. 2 places at one time. Well done. Hazel Nzomo says, good morning. Let's accept that life the way it is and move on. Feeling pity and being discouraged will not help us at all. Well, yeah. All right. Gloria Mwende says, good morning. Tuned in. Great show ahead. Asante Sana to a united country. Indeed. Owen Karaoke is tuned in this morning and says, surely without Baba, the dynamics of Kenyan politics, as it has been shaken. That forms part of our question at 7 o'clock, because we're asking, has it really turned? Is it really going to be that different? Amayo Okeo is tuned in as usual. Agutu Ogembo says, let our leaders be sensitive with their words. Very true. DJ CJ Kenya says, good morning, tuned in from Dandora. Big up to you, brother. Nyakundi Emmanuel says, this government is passing laws which will affect them in the future. This is true. Who will heal us from tribalism? Jameni tuko na shida ukabila ni urogi. Duke FX, we see you. Good morning. Charles Onyanga says, good morning, Spice. Your show is an inspiration. Keep on with the good job, Asante Sana. And thanks for folks like you who tune in every morning. Good morning. We are still mourning, and someone here is piecing our hearts with such reckless statements. Surely it's humanity really is taking a hit here. Good morning from Maua, says Bonnie Gatobu, and people keep trickling in through the room. Thank you for joining us this morning. So there's a plethora of things that we'll discuss at 7. 1 hour may not be enough, but we're going to do it every day anyway, and we're going to do it with all of you. We're going to set up polls. We're looking for you guys, Mtuflani, Mkwama, and Stella S, Agola. Where's everybody this morning? But we know that those who've tuned in this morning, thank you for waking up early and then being able to do that with us.
Mtuflani has a question.
Oh, Mtuflani has a question.
Yeah. Why does Ndu's color combination make me smile?
See, now Ndu's the one who's blushing. You like it? Green and red. It's like Christmas or something.
Jingle bell.
Even my shoes are red.
Yeah.
Lydia gave me the inspiration.
Okay. Shall have that conversation
later
outside the tent.
Okay. Why, Asante Sana, everybody. Getting into the headlines today. Let's start on the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, which is The Standard. And this is it. It's about the bills, isn't it? Sorry, I was just moving around on my chair there. This is it. And these are the bills that were passed, interestingly enough, Wednesday last week. Out with freedoms is the headline. 4 hours after Raila Odinga's death, President Ruto signed 8 controversial bills into law. Measures critics say betray the very freedoms Raila spent his life defending. Amongst them is the new Cybercrimes Act, which, while tightening safeguards against online fraud and harassment, hides vague clauses that could muzzle free speech and silence dissent. Former Chief Justice David Maraga has condemned the move as a mockery of Raila's legacy and announced plans to challenge the laws in court. So what are we looking at? The Cybercrime Act, the implications: 1, criminalizes publishing false digital information, a threat of up to 3 years imprisonment or fines of up to 5 million shillings. 2, vague definition of cybercrime. Cyber harassment targets activists and opposition figures, handing them jail terms of 5 years or 10 million shillings. So you could essentially say anything. And if it was interpreted to be harassment, you could find yourself in jail for 5 years or have to cough up 10 million bob. 3, state agencies can block websites or online content without court approval, enabling shutdowns of critical media and voices of dissent. Again, if you say anything, and if it could be seen to be that you are against a particular position, you could find your website or your channel shut down.
Yeah.
If they decided that, this one, it doesn't make sense, they could actually shut it down. It allows police to demand user data from service providers. Aren't they doing that already? Shh. Raising concerns over political spying and privacy violations. So they don't have to get a warrant, they can listen into you.
Yeah.
Like I said, isn't that happening already?
It is a fact.
Okay. It's vague wording and possible retroactive enforcement of the law creates fear, leading to censorship and self-censorship online. So it's happened on the 15th of October, hours before announcing the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Ruto signed the bills into law, causing suspicion over his timing of the decision. My God, we could speculate properly, but if optics are anything to go by, it does not look good at all. Of course, we're going to take some time this week to look into those. I believe it's Thursday, according to Lydia's plan. To look into those a little bit, but it's interesting. All right, we're into day 2 of the exams. We know that KCSE began yesterday, and we're going into another round of the KPSEA and KHRC next week. Desperate students and parents fall for online scammers, and you ask how? We'll tell you that. Families of 5 shot, trampled while mourning Raila seek justice, and they're saying, come on, guys, tell us at the very least who these people are. See you in court, ex-CJ tells Ruto over new legislations, and that's, of course, CJ Emeritus Maraga. According to petitioners, cybercrimes law violates the very constitution that it's supposed to be seen to protect. So where is the constitution in all of this is what folks are asking. ODM after Raila, cracks formed before his death may rupture as Ruto seeks to have a say. We'll ask those questions today. Otiende Amolo will join us at 8 o'clock. And of course, one of the questions is, the president was at Raila's funeral on Sunday, basically saying we have to stand together as ODM. And I thought, wait a minute, when did he move?
It's a founding member.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the questions we're going to ask. So, unfortunately, a young woman, Wanjiro, was killed and she was found in a tank. The gentleman who is accused of her murder is Robert Perkis, and he's wanted for the murder of Agnes Wanjiro, which occurred in Nanyuki in 2012. Now, the extradition of this British soldier is said to have murdered Wanjiro begins. And the High Court has been told that they've actually started the process. Extradition, of course, means his removal from his country to this country, Kenya, where inquiry or a trial then will begin. Because certain things, based on evidence that has been found, is what, essentially fingered him as the alleged perpetrator in this case. Sawa. So that's begun. We'll look into details of that. Babafemi Badejo talks about Raila's legacy, and it was that of integrity and the nation above himself. He authored this book, and it's interesting because we'll talk about that. SRC nominee Kingi denies he's a candidate in the Magarini by-election. I'm telling you, the waters are so blurred. Just things are just mixing and still not getting you the right cocktail. All right, that's what it looks like for some pages in the Standard. We'll look into more of those details.
Yeah, so let's go to the Daily Nation. And Orange Party split by wrangles on its 20th anniversary. Now, what did Raila say? Questions. Everybody says they spoke to Raila and there's something that Raila told them. Now, factional wars within Orange Democratic Movement have intensified, with rivals clashing on the political direction decreed by party leader Raila Odinga, who died last Wednesday. The dispute is on the outfit's commitment to the broad-based government and subsequent support for President Ruto's re-election. Twin issues over which side is conveniently interpreting Raila's words to its advantage. But what was his wish is the question now. ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, Raila said, as a party, we must prepare ourselves for the 2027 general elections. Here, Governor James Orengo, I am one of the people who believe we must keep ODM President Ruto. Let us not kill parties. And Kisii Governor Simbarati, I want to assure ODM members the party is going nowhere. And Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, the last instruction he left us with, and I remember him speaking at the burial of Dr. Phoebe Asio, he said he made clear decision to work with Ruto. And Minority Leader Junet Mohammed as well. Raila told us to remain in the broad-based government. It is on record. ODM will either form the government or be part of the government. And finally, KHRC as John Mbadi, Raila showed us before he died that he wanted us to be in government. Everybody with their own version of what Raila Odinga told them. Now, when we talk about the new laws, storm over laws Ruto signed on Dark Wednesday, former Chief Justice David Maraga has criticized President Ruto for assenting to 8 controversial bills last Wednesday on the day former Prime Minister Raila Odinga died. He said one grants the executive a sweeping mandate on the sale of state farms, while another gives it unilateral powers to crack down on free speech. Now, there is on education how suspect in KCSE exam papers fraud was arrested. DCI officers arrested the man at Meru University on suspicion of selling fake exam papers through a WhatsApp group. Remember, KCSE is kicking off and everybody's trying to make a buck out of it. Good thing is one of them is arrested. Why man accused of killing son was freed? The search for justice in the killing of a three-year-old boy in Nakuru hit a dead end when gaps in the prosecution's evidence failed to nail the prime suspect, who had initially confessed to the crime. What happens to his confession? Does that not stand in court?
You would imagine that one confessed, and this is what they said. Can that be retracted?
That's the question.
I wonder.
At what point do you retract if that has been recorded?
Actually, no, I didn't mean that. I meant something else. So how are we to be sure that what you're saying now is,
is true? I was under pressure because I was amidst police officers, so I just spoke so that, anyway.
I would imagine that you would have to prove that situation of pressure. But anyway.
So there's tragedy. They went to mourn their leader. Now they too are in coffins. Families of 3 people shot dead by police and 2 others killed in a stampede during Raila Odinga's funeral are preparing for their burials. So there's that. Now, there is details of tough balancing act in Raila's funeral plans revealed. Just what exactly happened during that time. We see images of leaders there, including the chairperson of the funeral committee, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki. And pretty much. So it's all about Raila and what followed thereafter. And as well as that story on the on the laws that were signed into by the president as well, carrying the day.
For sure.
You have the star?
Yes, I do. Let me look into that. Well, Cole Kipkeno had asked me to sing this song by ABBA called Chiquitita. I will sing it tomorrow because the words are actually quite poignant. I'll sing it tomorrow and then we can follow that. I promise I'll do that tomorrow morning, Sal, because I think that will probably still be with that hangover of some of these things that we see today. They sang that song in the 70s. I think it was in the 80s. I don't know. I wasn't even born. But that story, the lyrics of that song transcend time. And I'll do it tomorrow, Cole. I promise. Let's look into the Star, where the headline is an uphill task. Oburu fights to steady ODM. Really? He's already fighting. Okay. Well, it's interesting because the people that is there, it looks like the people he might be fighting. Edwin Sifuna, Secretary General, Abdul Somad Nasir, and Opio Wandai, generals of the party, essentially. So party is grappling with emerging crisis in post-Raila era. If it walks like a duck, it's got web feet and it's got a bill. I keep saying it's not a camel.
Yep.
So it doesn't look like already folks are trying to, are polarized in terms of what's happening at the party level. We'll talk about that today for sure. Lawyer who wanted to be a doctor but now heals through justice. Interesting story. Of course, the Star carries the story of the extradition of the Briton in Wajiro's death. That is underway. That continues. Why counties lose more than 25 billion shillings every year? I have woken up with some joy in my heart today. So I will just gloss over that headline and say, you know what? Money is still being lost. On a day when I want my joy to leave me, then perhaps we can delve into the details of such a story more. But when I think on the fact, you thought I was going to let it go. No. When I think of the fact that there are too many things happening that require money for the country, and then you tell us that counties are losing 25 billion shillings daily, then perhaps that air of positivity does seem to escape me.
So if it's 25 billion a year, how many years of devolution do you have now?
Oh, God in heaven.
So you could talk about, 250, that is 10 years. That is 250 billion. So in excesses of 300 billion is lost.
Yeah. So Isaac Ruto is going to be here at 9 o'clock. These are some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Is devolution working if you're losing a lot of money at the county level? Absorption low. Yes, we know Exchequer doesn't give them money in time, and then there's only a small window for them to be able to do these development projects. Okay, Sawa. How can we make it work better? That should be the question. How can we make it work better? And then what are we actually doing to ensure that it works better? State needs court order to shut websites in the new law. Maraga is saying, boss, these punitive cyber and privatization laws, it's not going to work. So see you in court. Test in Ugunja, Kasipul and Magarini by-elections. The question is, okay, when you come in and buy, Kev, confuse me. Okay, test in Ugunja, Kasipul and Magiri by-elections where they're saying this is the test for ODM without Raila. This is what you will know how ODM then will be able to survive without a party leader or not survive. So these are some of the things that we're looking at. Rising domestic debt in Africa likely to hurt world banks. This is what the IMF comes in and says. We have to ask the questions about why then we allow the World Bank to continue or IMF to continue asking these questions that they do. All right, so those are some of the headlines. That's what they're looking at. Let's look into some of those stories in detail, shall we? All right, so where was it? Here. In the Standard today, there's a story that's carried on page 2. And it's about exams. Desperate students and parents fall for online scammers. Online fraudsters are back, preying on desperate students and parents seeking shortcuts to success. As 3 national examinations start, investigations reveal how these syndicates have built a thriving underground economy around the promise of leaked examination papers, a business based on deception. This week, detectives attached to the Kenya National Examinations Council arrested a 22-year-old Meru University student believed to be part of a larger ring operating on social media. The suspect, who will be presented in court next week to take plea, was allegedly found with tens of SIM cards, 6 mobile phones, 2 laptops in Kianjai in Tiganya West Sub-County. Yesterday, he was released on a 50,000 shilling cash bail, but details of the investigation provide details on how the scammers are taking advantage of national examinations. Students will today sit the home science practicals at the KCSE examination centers around the country as the examinations enter the second day. Yesterday, the students did oral tests in French, German, Arabic, and music practicals as the biggest lot of candidates await to start their written examinations on the 4th of October. So of November, I beg your pardon. So these are practicals and these are language courses. So everybody's waiting until the 4th of November to do the rest. That's what it looks like. But it looks like some folks are trying to make a big buck out of a quick buck out of desperate students. So one must ask. All right. This is also going on in schools. Remember the Liten school that was burnt down by the boys? Or rather vandalized? The High Court has stepped in to mediate a standoff between the management of Liten High School and parents over a controversial fine of 49,000 shillings imposed on students following a recent strike. The parents told Justice Joseph Sergon that the penalty was punitive and beyond the reach of most. They urged the court to order the administration to allow the students back upon payment of 10,000 shillings, arguing that the move would calm tensions and prevent further unrest. They said the parents were still struggling to clear pending school fees. Now you want me to pay 49,000. Where is it coming from? And then, of course, those who are asking, if my child had nothing to do with this, why am I also being penalized? They said the parents were still struggling, of course, but the school said the decision was approved by the Board of Management and the institution must replace damaged property, including computers, renovate dormitories, and provide adequate food for learners. The defense team argued that 10,000 shillings proposed by the parents was below the minimal amount required for the school to function properly. So that looks like it's going to be something that's going to be in and out of discussion for some time.
I mean, if you just look at that story alone, you look at the pain that parents are going through, and perhaps it's that time where we ask students to, even if there are disagreements, there are better ways of handling issues. Because now you're out of school, their parents are struggling because now they're forced to pay school fees and equally look for the 49,000. So look at the bigger picture. Whenever there are disagreements in school, striking and vandalizing a property is not the way to go. Sit down and have a conversation.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tough one.
So, CJ Magaraga takes on Ruto over new draconian illegal laws. What is the former Chief Justice saying now? David Maraga has criticized President Ruto for ascending to 8 controversial bills last week, accusing him of betraying the constitution and eroding Kenya's sovereignty through what he termed as draconian and unconstitutional laws. Fellow Kenyans, at exactly the same time that the nation was grappling with the news of demise of our Right Honorable Raila Odinga, President Ruto was in State House signing a law, not one but 8 bills, some of which are quite draconian. What a shame that the president can be doing this, Mr. Maraga said during a press conference in Nairobi. The former Chief Justice listed the laws as the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act, the Privatization Act, the Land Amendment Act, the National Land Commission Amendment Act, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Act, the National Police Service Amendment Act, the Air Passage Service Charge Amendment Act, and the Virtual Asset Service Providers Act. He accused the executive and parliament of constantly betraying the will of the people by passing laws that serve the interest of the ruling elite. He said, when truly will the state decide to work for its people is a question. Time and again, the executive and the National Assembly have conspired to betray our nation and the sovereign will of its citizens, he said. Maraga said this great concern lay in 2 of the new laws, the Privatization Act and the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act, which he warned threatens the country's freedom and sovereign assets. What is a nation without its sovereign assets and its freedoms? He paused. So yesterday we briefly touched on these laws together with PLP party leader Martha Karua.
Yep.
And it was a question of what's the hurry of passing these laws, especially at a time when the country has shifted its focus on the demise of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, what was the rush? Why does it seem as though this thing was being hidden?
Because you've got to imagine that people have their attention on
something else.
And then by the time they turn their attention back to it, that the cement is already cold.
It's already cold.
But isn't that what... And you can decide to connect the imagery however you like. But isn't that what the folks who are going to steal from the Museum of Art do? That they turn the cameras into a different direction, or they spray foam on the cameras while they do whatever they need to do and take your attention somewhere else so that they can do whatever it is that they need to do. Or you wait until somebody's focus and attention is somewhere else, and then you quickly do what you need to do under the cover of darkness, imagining that folks are none the wiser. That's what you do when you're trying to hide something, or that's what you do when you're trying to put something through that people will not accept.
And you see, by mere fact that people will not accept it, doesn't that then demand from you as a person to just retrospect, sit back and see, if I'm struggling to sign these into law and trying to hide it, why don't I just sit down with Kenyans and find a way of coming up with a bill and a law that accommodates everybody? Because remember, these laws are not meant for animals, you know what I mean? These laws are meant for people who have sound mind and can make decisions. And what a better and beautiful way of just sitting down and participate in coming up with a law together with the citizenry, a law that they will accept and which will serve them better. Because we have a constitution that gave us all these rights. What's the need of passing a law that curtails all these rights that have been given by the constitution? Why?
Indeed.
Right. It's just a simple question. Why would you do that?
Why would you? And that's the question the Kenyans are asking today. Why would you actually do that? Will you share the story about what Raila said? What did Raila say or not say?
What did Raila say? So that is in page 4 and 5 of the Nation, right? So everybody knows, says there's something Raila told them. Now, they say dead men tell no tales. And now, factional wars in the Orange Democratic Movement threaten the survival of the 20-year-old outfit as it charts its course without founding leader Raila Odinga, who died a week ago. Odinga will never ever get a chance to clarify what he may have meant, which is now subject to interpretation by those who claim to have spoken to him in his final days on earth. The wars, which started moments before Odinga was buried on Sunday, are anchored on the confusion over what exactly he said about the future of the party, whether it should remain in the broad-based government or exit and contest the 2027 elections. On one side of the leadership divide, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, Siaya Governor James Orengo, and Deputy Party leaders Godfrey Osotsi, Vihiga Senator, and Mr. Simbarat, who is the Kisii Governor, want ODM to field a presidential candidate in 2027. The other group, which includes ODM Chairperson and Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga, National Assembly Minority Leader Junet Mohammed, and Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi, says Odinga wished the party to back the government and, by extension, President Ruto's re-election. Mr. Mbadi is the immediate former chairperson of ODM. President William Ruto's warning at Odinga's burial that he would not allow politicians to pull ODM from the broad-based government may have reignited the fight for the control of the party. Just that, as a party leader of UDA, how then do you give demands on another party that you're not party to? But anyway, according to Mr. Sifuna, Odinga's last instructions were that ODM should strengthen and field a presidential candidate in 2027. And he said, Raila spoke openly before the whole country and said, as a party, we must prepare ourselves for the 2027. Don't put words in his mouth to push your agenda, he said. The Nairobi Senator's position was in reference to the ODM parliamentary group meeting on September 22nd that was chaired by Mr. Odinga.
I just think it was interesting how everybody, he must have been doing a lot of talking in the last couple of weeks, because everybody talks about how they told him, he told them, and everybody, he told me. If everybody who opened their mouth to say what he said was saying the same thing, then perhaps we'll see there was something there. What's the proverb? That if there's unity, you see it. if the messaging from everybody was the same thing, we would see it. But it would seem as though those who seem to be saying the truth are the ones who can show you and say, look, this is the last time he was in public and this is what he said. And we all heard it. But this one, he whispered to me, he said he didn't say. Not just a pinch of salt, but maybe a whole bag.
You know, one thing about former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is he was not afraid to speak in the open. You know, and the last time he met with this party in a parliamentary group meeting, he's laid out his position because it's a question that he was asked with regard to the party's future now that they are in broad-based government. Remember, even if you go to the broad-based, the 10 agendas, that agreement was not politically binding. It was not a political decision for ODM or Raila Odinga. And I remember it said that does not determine Raila Odinga's future ambitions. At any time, he would still walk out and run if he wanted to.
And Agola asked a brilliant question, just in line with what I was just saying there, that how come everything that everybody is waking up to say about what Raila told them is different? Why? You have to ask yourself that question.
Because
Of course, those are the questions that you have to ask. All right, guys, we're going to talk to you coming in after 7 o'clock, and we'll let you know what the numbers are. So let's open up the conversation today. There seems to be a lot that people are harboring at the moment, whether it is what happens to Kenya. Do you feel that Kenya then will be able to move smoothly politically with the exit of Raila Odinga? Are you comfortable with things that are happening? If not, what are we doing about it? Those are the conversations we'll have right now, 7 a.m.
This is the Situation Room.